What is good, YouTube? It's your number one hero, Black Deku, and I am finally back with a new video. I've been on that PS5 basically every single day since I got it, and recently I finally beat Spider-Man Miles Morales. I thoroughly enjoyed the game, but I had to sit down and ask myself while I was making this review, is it worth its $50 selling price? Spider-Man Miles Morales takes place sometime after the previous game where Peter Parker defeated the Sinister Six. Miles at this time has established himself as the second Spider-Man. After taking down the Rhino together, Peter goes off on vacation, leaving Miles to hold the city down by himself. Now on his own for the time being, Miles has to be the hero New York needs while making some tough decisions, learning what it means to be a superhero. I think for the most part, the story does an okay job as an introduction to Miles as Spider-Man. My main gripes with the story lie with its length, but I'm gonna get into that a little bit later. Getting into the gameplay, the web slinging, perfect. It's fun, it's fluid, it has never been better than it is here. Swinging around New York City is an absolute blast to the point where you don't even want to use the fast travel mechanic unless you're like me and have the patience of a 5-year-old. But the combat, mwah, nigga. I love it. Insomniac did an incredible job integrating Miles' electricity and invisibility into the combat system. Yes, it is mostly a remodel of Peter Parker's combat, but I have to say that here it is vastly improved upon thanks to Miles' unique abilities. You have access to a few special Venom Blast moves, and you can turn invisible in the middle of battle when the going gets tough or if you want to get the jump on your enemies. Mix in the skill tree abilities, suit mods, and gadgets, and you have a seemingly unlimited amount of fighting combos to pull off to take down your foes. Throughout the game, I found myself experimenting and coming up with different unique ways to combo his moves together, which made for a lot of fun. But compared to the first game, a lot of the skill tree in this one is just meh. I only unlocked all of the abilities just for the sake of doing so, but some of them are pretty useless and you never even notice that you're using them or that they're in play. And I also didn't find a lot of the suit mods very interesting. I ended up sticking with the same few throughout the entire game. And the side content in this game is unfortunately pretty tedious. Most of the time I'd mute the game and mindlessly run from collectible to collectible, side mission to side mission, with Netflix on the side until I got it all done. All of this just so I can unlock new suits, skills, and gadget upgrades. I didn't really care for doing any of them other than for the sake of rewards and completion. There were only two pieces of side content that I actually enjoyed. The first were the random crimes. You'd have to step in and save civilians from criminals, stop car chases, or even save hacked helicopters. They were nice little distractions to take on while you're on your way to the next objective. The second were the underground and Roxxon bases. There wasn't anything special about them in particular. I just found it really fun to test my skills to see how many enemies I could take on all at once. But another problem I had to deal with this game constantly through my playthrough was the crashing. Okay, they all dipped on me. No. No. Son. Motherfucker. God restart the game. The game crashed on me a good number of times, usually after I died or sometimes straight in the middle of a mission. It got annoying to the point where sometimes I just put the game down and didn't come back to it. Moving on to the story, a positive that I can give this game is the cutscenes. They are absolutely beautiful, whether it's a fight scene or just the characters talking, but especially during those action sequences. The only part about them that I didn't like were the QuickTime events, which I think at this point QuickTime events are pretty fucking useless, but other than that, the scenes were really well done. But my biggest gripe with this game has to be the story length. I beat the game in just under 12 hours on the hardest difficulty, and that's with me completing 85% of the game. If I had decided to not procrastinate the story missions and just run straight through them, I probably would have beaten the game a lot sooner. The story isn't bad, in fact it's actually pretty good for the most part, but it's hard to get invested in the characters in the story when they're not given enough time to develop. It jumps from one point to another so quickly, and then the next thing I knew the game was telling me that I was already on the final mission. With all of that said, I'm not sure if I can recommend this game at $50, especially for an expansion you could finish pretty quickly, but I'm gonna look at this from two ways. If you're like me and you wanted both Spider-Man games for the $70 Ultimate Edition, I highly recommend that you get it. I do think it's worth it to have both games packaged together. However, if you aren't interested in playing the Peter Parker Spider-Man, then I recommend you wait for a price drop. Spider-Man Miles Morales is not a bad game by any stretch. I just don't think there's enough meat on the bones to justify its price. And that is all I have for today's video. If you are new to the channel, make sure to like and subscribe. Also make sure to follow me on my Twitch, Twitter, and Instagram. All of that in the description box below. This has been your number one hero, and I'm out. Peace.